assistant governor, and held several leadership positions within the MMA. Ms. Hussain holds a master's in economics from the University of Waikato and a bachelor's of commerce from the Capital Market Development Authority and Dirago PLC. For this session, our distinguished panelist comprises of former governor of the Maldives Monetary Authority and senior interregional advisor on strategic foresight and systems thinking at UNDESA, Dr. Azima Adam, assistant director of statutory compliance, Universal Enterprises, Mr. Iyaz Wahid, economist and team leader at Asian Development Bank, Ms. Fatmat Said, chief commercial officer at Ooredoo Maldives, Mr. Hussein Niaz. Please join me in welcoming our moderator and distinguished panelists onto the stage. Please.
Mic is working? Yes. So everybody's ready? Okay. Yeah. Good morning. Let me welcome everyone to the first panel. Today's theme is about charting new frontiers and rethinking economic growth beyond tourism. So today we are asking a big question: what is next? How can we ask? How can Maldives diversify its economy and build a future that is resilient, innovative, and sustainable? So to discuss this, we have 4 fantastic panelists with us who are experts in policy, finance, industry, and then technology, who bring decades of experience and will help us imagine what the next chapter of economic growth could be for the Maldives. So first we have Dr. Azima Adam. She is an accomplished economist and central banker with 30 years of experience in macroeconomic policy, financial sector development, and sustainable finance. She now serves as an interregional advisor on strategic foresight and systems thinking at the UN Department of Economics and Social Affairs. Azima is also the first female governor at MMA, and she has led major reforms in stabilizing the exchange rate, strengthen financial sector, and promote digital banking as well. So next to her, we have Mr. Iyaz Wahid. He is a chartered management accountant with over 20 years of experience in the hospitality industry. He's an expert in finance, human resource, risk management, and compliance. He currently serves as an assistant director of statutory compliance at Universal Enterprises, and also he's a board member of Maldives Association for Tourism Industry. And then next to him, we have Ms. Fatmat Said. She's an economist and team leader at the Asian Development Bank. She has more than 15 years of experience in macro fiscal reform and economic policy. Her work at the ADB focuses on economic development, public finance management, and sustainable diversification strategies for small island economies. We also have Mr. Hussein Niaz, who is the Chief Commercial Officer of Ooredoo Maldives and is a leading figure in country's digital transformation. With over 3 decades in the telecommunications, he has helped expand connectivity across the nation and has been the driving force behind Digital Maldives' vision, promoting access, innovation, and inclusion. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished panelists, Dr. Azima Adam, Ms. Fatmat Said, Mr. Iyaz Wahid, and Hussein Niaz. Yeah, the global economy is changing. Recent shocks like the pandemic and the global uncertainties we have shown us that we can't rely just on tourism anymore, and we need to carry forward. So this dependence has made us vulnerable, especially when global disruptions occur, whether it is increase in oil prices or financial crises, or more recently the COVID-19. And the paper presented just now highlights how geopolitical risks lead to decline in tourism as well. So today we are talking about economic diversification, and we know it is a national necessity now. And today we have real opportunities to explore new frontiers. So in your opinion, are there any frontiers that will help us build a more resilient and sustainable future? So let me direct my first question to Dr. Azima. We've been talking about diversification for years, but tourism still dominates our economy. So from your experience as a former policymaker and now working at the strategic foresight at UN, what do you think are the most important structural reforms we need to make diversification happen? And in your opinion, how would such a future look like for the Maldives? Dr. Azima.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, thank you, moderator, for asking the question. But before I go there, let me very quickly thank Governor Munawar for inviting me to be here as the former governor. Because in the last 8 years, this is the first time I am attending an event at MMA as the former governor. And there's no greater privilege still for me than having that title of a former governor. And I'm so happy to see so many familiar faces around the room as well. So, as the moderator has pointed out, we are talking about diversification. I joined the central bank in 1991. Even then, we were talking about economic diversification. So I don't think I will go on to the reasons for the need for diversification or the areas where we need to diversify. I think we have a wonderful panel here who can talk about that. But let me focus on something very important, which Governor Munawar, as well as the chief guest, the Minister of Education, highlighted. We need to base our policies on evidence. And evidence comes from conferences like this. But the problem lies where we don't connect the evidence that we produce here to the policies. And I always say that it is not the role of, it is not imperative on the policymakers to come and ask the researchers and the evidence producers for that information. We need to be able to make that happen. We need to see the value of that, because policymakers are politicians. They run on election cycles. That's a fact. We cannot change. It's not unique to the Maldives. It is unique to, if you go to any island economy, they'll say, this is very unique to our country. Politicians use that. And one area that we focus in my line of work right now is strategic foresight. So I have forever held the title of being an economist, and now I'm thinking more as a futurist. The reason is that what the moderator highlighted, we have been talking about this for a long time. When Idham and I joined MMA, it was 2020 vision. 2020 came and we didn't even remember what the vision was. So right now, President Dr. Muiz has another vision, 2040, that Maldives is going to become a developed country. With strategic foresight, what is being forced us to do is take that vision and see what are the multiple futures we can create to achieve that. So we all need to have that scenarios in our mind. What are the different futures that we want? But diversification. So do we want in 2040 our GDP to tourism to be 25%? Or what is the scenario that we can think of? I'm now in my close to mid-50s. In 20 years' time, I'll be in 70s. What do I want there? What do I envision? Do I really want to just collect a pension and live uh, uh, within, with earlier, as the governor and the minister pointed out, building skills of the young people. And I'm extremely happy that for this research conference, governor brought not just the higher education minister, the Minister of Education, because we need to start early. We need to instill in our kids the mind of creativity, thinking. We are seeing the fruits of that in Malaysia. We are very happy to see all that creativity. And again, it is not about copying Malaysia. It is about learning from that and creating our own products. And I know very well, Malaysia also copied a lot from other countries, but they didn't stop ventures. They created products that suited their country. And we learn from each other, but we need to create what is best for this country. And there's no one better who can create that than Maldivians. Maldivians hold the pen to their futures. So everyone has to be given that chance, and these research conferences provide that opportunity. So for me, it is about focusing on long term, and the 20-year national development, as I understand, is a very good start. No matter the government, no matter the political party, our visions should remain the same. It is what the activities that would change every 5 years or every 10 years, but the long-term visions shouldn't change. The reason is we don't have that many resources. When we build on infrastructure, that is long-term, it's not short-term. We cannot go on blindly invest in it. So I want every one of you, especially the Maldivians here, to think where you would like to be in 2040. Think about that scenario. Think how you would envision Maldives. Is it a country run by MMA printing money? Or is it a country run by your kids or grandkids getting a political post in the government? Or is it a country where the young people, our kids, our grandkids, have the opportunity to create their own jobs, have digital at their fingertips so that they become a creative economy? So not just using digitalization, but to become more creative. So a lot of times what we hear is in the labor market, we can't get people. This is a small country. How best can we use the skills that we have? So I would, before I finish, I want to highlight one very important thing. That is, we need to go beyond this conference. We need to find a way how we can translate all that wonderful research we have done to actionable policies, and how we can bring a group like this, not just with academics or MMA staff or financial sector staff, but policymakers. So how do we lock everyone up in a place like this and talk about the future that we envision, not only about one future, but about the future scenarios that we want to make. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Azima, for that insightful overview. That is a good vision for the future. Okay, my next question goes to Mr. Iyaz Wahid. Tourism has always been and always be our central pillar to our economy. But as we rethink what growth looks like, how do you see the tourism sector evolving to support diversification?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Let me also start by thanking the governor and the management for inviting me on this panel. Like domestic tourists or even Maldivians for the first time has started traveling in numbers. If you see, for example, abroad or to other islands during the day, it's very hard to get even a room in a guest house, right? So in the future, what we need to actually we can benefit. We are at a point to seriously think about these things. Now, for example, if we look at things which are around tourism, which supports tourism, for example, look at the airline industry, for example. We are 100% dependent on other countries, other airlines from other countries to bring tourists to our country. But I think this is something not very sustainable for Maldives, and we need to think about even when we are making policies, we need to think about these industries as well. For example, even our recent regulation on forex control, we can see now there is the effect of it has started impacting the airline industry locally and also the airline operators locally. So these are important things we need to think when we make policies as well, because even last couple of weeks, a lot of airline PSS who are locally operated PSS were telling me as well, the international airlines might even pull out their offices from Maldives because of the regulation, because now it is cheaper for even Maldivians to buy tickets online rather than from a domestic agent. So these are important things we need to think about when we make these. When we make a policy, we might not know exact impact, but if the impact is going to be adversely affecting our industries, we need to reverse do it as well. And the evolution of tourism industry, I think we are just at the start of the second phase of tourism development. I agree with the comment made by Dr. Zulfa as well, because 50 years we have been a one island, one resort, and now only we are going into our community tourism. There's a huge market out there. Actually, at the moment, our resorts are suffering because of excess supply. We don't have enough tourists come in to fill the beds in most of the resorts at the moment. Even this season, I don't think all the resorts are going to have 100% occupancy except for a few weeks. But we are very hopeful. I think this impact was one thing is because due to airport development getting delayed to match with the beds increase. But I see tourism as very positive and which will still be part of our economy, a great part of our economy. But what we need to think is now we are at a point, we have resources, we have government income enough to actually support the industries which supports the tourism industry as well. Because if we don't develop those industries like transport, like the food industry, all these industries, if we don't support any shock on international markets, even a food supply to Maldives, even if there are tourists who are willing to come, we will not have food to feed them if we don't have, if we are not self-sufficient on those. So these are the things now we need to think about. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Yaz, for pointing out the shift in direction. I think it's really important that we see more businesses feeding their products and services into the tourism. So this brings me to you, Fatimat. You've worked on the development projects across many thematic sectors through your role in the ADB. From your perspective, what do you think will help small island economies like ours to diversify? And how can institutions and international partners like the ADB play a role in bringing a more balanced and resilient economic base?
Thank you, moderator. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, and the MMA management, and also everyone. And to be here is a real privilege. Regarding the question posed by the moderator, I think it's very important to understand that developmental financial institutions, they play a very significant role, especially for countries like us. Now, if you look currently at our fiscal situation, we are fiscal space-wise, we are really constrained. And additionally, if you look at the budget for next year also, we see that our revenue generation, and it only meets the recurrent expenditure. So for development and investments, we would obviously need financing. So what role do, I'm sorry, I have a sore throat, so please excuse my voice. So in order to, for the role of the developmental financing is, the role of the developmental financing institutions is that they bring in financing in the grant form, as well as they bring in a lot of technical expertise. Now in Maldives, we see in crucial areas like energy, climate, and also like waste management or circular economy. These crucial areas, the technical expertise is currently not being met. So these DFIs, they bring in this expertise as well with their projects. They have technical assistance programs, and they also support in building capacity. So capacity enhancement is also a prime objective of DFIs. And additionally, I want to emphasize that DFIs have partnership programs with the national countries. For example, Asian Development Bank has energy, and another area is waste management, again relating to renewable energy, and also rural development as well. Now, as we urbanize, we realize that urban development also has cost. A lot of nature is destroyed, and the quality of our living standards may be compromised because of lack of connectivity with nature. So at the same time, some of ADB's projects focus on rural development as well. So I think these are crucial areas that DFIs focus on their financing and technical capacity enhancement. I'll give a few examples here. Like currently, ADB is running a portfolio of about $300 US, which is close to 5 billion Maldivian rupiah, which is a lot of money. And Maldives being a SIDS country, small island developing country, there's a huge significant component of grant within the portfolio. So about out of the 300 million USD, about 60% is grant, which is a significant aid to the Maldives. And if you look at some of the projects like POISED, it is preparing outer islands for sustainable energy development, and also ASSURE, that is accelerating sustainable systems development. We see that these are ensuring that moving forward, Maldives will have a renewable energy capacity. Now, our president also has made a pledge towards 33% of renewable energy in 2028, and that translates to about, I think, 450 megawatt of energy. But that capacity of energy generation from renewables requires a lot of capacity development, grid development, and also like we need to alleviate the fluctuations that come with renewable energy, such as solar PVs. So ADB's projects focus on alleviating these challenges that Maldives faces. And also, if you look at our utility companies that provide energy, like Stelco and Fenaka, they also face lots of fiscal constraints. Their fiscal space is also, they also face lots of fiscal challenges. So with these challenges, DFIs play a crucial role in alleviating these challenges. And also, if you look at rural island development, some of the projects, FNRP, I think, the Food and Rural and Agriculture project that is currently also kickstarted, it also integrates digitalization, which is another, we are at the crux of a digital revolution. So it also incorporates digitalization, which in the future will also, artificial intelligence is also coming in. So all these, sort of like all these themes are integrated. It's not like they don't exist in silo. So rather than silo, like they are sort of integrated. Like waste management, the Greater Mali Waste Management project that converts solid waste into renewable, into energy. and also the Greater Male Climate Project. These are very important, and they sort of lay the groundwork for circular economy. And I think that's, again, one industry that we can even develop a roadmap for going forward in transforming our economy. Because it will reduce our imports, it will reduce the waste production, and also it will reduce, it will encourage the habit of reusing and recycling within the economy, the resources that are already existing. So with the waste management turning into energy, we are sort of also maintaining, upgrading the systems and the databases that are provided. So I think these are the ways in which DFIs are critically contributing. And at the same time, public finance management is a crucial pillar of DFI's financing assistance. They do rigorous analysis of our financial status, how our public finances are being managed, the regulations for example, the Debt Management Act, of Fiscal Responsibility Act, of adherence to these acts. So it also encourages us more as a country to strengthen our financial, fiscal management systems as well. So I think the DFI's support towards transforming our economy is multi-pronged, and it hinges on thematic areas that ultimately forms a coherent way going forward, which is a very transformative way for the Maldives. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Fatima. Your insights remind us that economic transformation is truly about collaboration and shared commitment. Talking about collaboration, my next question is to Mr. Hussein Niaz. We believe technology is now a key driver of growth, and you've been right at the center of the Maldives' digital transformation. So how do you see the country using technology to create new engines of growth?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Governor and the MMA team for organizing this kind of research-based events, and also including the technology component. Most of these forums, most of these research activities, there's a lack of involvement in this digitalization part that what I see in past. But recently I have been attending this kind of forum and also talking about digitalization. So now, as Dr. Azima was talking about, when we were in school, we had a vision of year 2000, when the robots will be walking around, but it didn't happen. Then the vision came 2020. We don't know what happened. So now we have vision of 2040. Yes, when we are here at 2025, yes, robots are around. The real digital has already happened. And in Maldives, we have all the islands, which is 187 islands, which is connected with 4G and 5G. And all the homes have fiber connectivity. So which is very, very, compared to the big countries, is very, very incredible achievement of digitalization. And talking about today in this forum is more about the financial inclusive. So now everybody has a mobile phone, everybody has app, everybody is connected. So money is in their phone now, is a digital wallet. And we have been using it for quite some time. But now we need to use it for other purposes, more than other areas. As Iyaz was mentioning that to buy a ticket, a local ticket from a website is much cheaper than going to a actual shop and buying it. Yes. Why is it? Because now is more than digital. Now is big data, machine learning. Because if we go this morning to a travel agent and ask for a ticket, they'll say, okay, this is the first customer, I'll try to sell it expensive. But if you go on the website will have AI, machine learning built behind it, and it will predict it. Okay, so today there will be around 100 customers coming in. So this is how the pricing will be best. So based on that, the pricing is done. So now in Maldives, the connectivity is there, digitalization is already there. So now the new era is coming in, the machine learning and AI. Already started. A lot of organizations are using it. And the machine learning, the big data, even us, banks, a lot of people have implemented it. Even the BML, a lot of their app features are based on machine learning now. We can see it now. A lot of e-commerce platforms use machine learning. You can see that the most common. You can see now Temu, AliExpress. Every day you'll get some discount coupon based on machine learning. And the app knows that today this customer will buy this. This customer will have this kind of interest today. It is a weekend, it will know, okay, weekend I need to push this. So that is the data science. So we called customer value management. So those things are already there. So I think now the digitalization is already there in every island in the country. So now we need to more focus on machine learning and AI, how we can include this. As Uridu, so we are talking about bringing PayPal. So PayPal is going to be a big game changer. So internationally, PayPal dominates the 40% of digital wallets. Now we were talking about local tourism in the islands. Yes, where tourist comes in, so already most of the tourists, they have the PayPal account. And MMA is coming with a single QR code, which BM has already implemented. So what is there? The QR code is there. The tourist person can scan the same QR code and pay the bill. So this is where the economy is going to grow with technology. The person in the island, a tourist who wants to buy a chili from a local house, they don't need to get dollar changes done. With a single QR code, they can pay the bill. So the digitalization is already here. I think this is where we need to focus on this research and everything. How can we use more data? We have a lot of data with us now. So with data, how we can create machine learning for daily use. Now we are only using this for the research purpose, but now it has to go into the daily, hourly basis. Then the decision will come automatically from the system. The digital world is too big for us right now. It can do wonderful for us in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Niaz. You've made it clear that digital transformation isn't about better connectivity. It is also about empowerment, access, and inclusion. Technology also gives us the ability to bridge geographical gaps and create equal opportunities for people across all our islands. So, talking about resilience, my next question is for Dr. Azima. How can Maldives strengthen its resilience and prepare for future shocks while still maintain an inclusive, sustainable economic growth?
Thank you very much for that question. I am going to answer that question based on some of the points that the panelists raised. One is about when we are talking about building resilience, we need to make sure we think of the bigger picture. As mentioned, when we design a policy, we need to have something called systems thinking. How does one connect to the other? What are the feedback loops of any action that we take? Because every action we take, there is a reaction. So how does it connect to one another? We need to make sure the policies that the central bank makes, MMA makes, has what are the implications of that on the economy and what is the implication on other industries. I'm not saying that what he has mentioned is that that we need to protect that. I'm not an expert on that. What I'm saying is that we need to make policies knowing what are the implications are and what is the best policy based on that. So to build resilience, we need to do that. More than that, as I mentioned earlier, we need to take our minds, changing our mindsets to the future. We cannot be talking about the same thing every year over and over again. While, as Fatma mentioned, we need to, there's a lot of support that can that we receive from DFIs or other international organizations. We need to think in 2040, what is that going to do for us? Do we need that really? Because more is not always the best. So in a small island economy like ours, it is not just about getting more, it is about getting what we really need, what is being, what caters to our needs in the future. When we are talking about strategic foresight, as I mentioned, we are talking about multiple futures. Let's say we have some scenarios for 2040. What we are not doing is just leaving it there. We do something called backcasting. So if we are in 2040, then we need to think about in 2035, what are the things that has to be there? What support from DFIs can we get? What is the digital economy that needs to be there in 2035? Same way, we look at 2030 and see that. And now, the important point is, what are we doing now to get there? Because it's very easy when we have so many different challenges to put a band-aid to everything, to keep printing money or to pay off one loan, whether it's about the government or personal finances. But we need to look at the bigger picture. So we can truly build resilience only if we know what we want in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, and then come back to today and make decisions based on that, make things happen today. So often when we are talking about strategic foresight, people think, okay, it's foresight, so we have a crystal ball and then predict the future. We are not predicting the future. We are making the futures. So to be ready, the decisions that we do are needed to be made today. So for me, the importance is not whether tourism is going to be important or less important or more important. How do we build resilience for a future that makes that we can influence today? How, if we are talking about, as Yas mentioned, tourism is our mainstay. We cannot change that, but we need to make sure our economy stays resilient, and that's why we need to go for the digitalization as well, so that we can create different products, create an economy that is more sustainable, that is more resilient. So we cannot just sit here thinking and talking about the problems that we have today. We need to sit here with everyone discussing what is it that we want in 2040, in 2060, so that we can make those decisions today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Azima. You just mentioned how foresight can turn uncertainty into opportunity. So talking about opportunities, Iyaz, how do you see tourism evolving into a driver of transformation and social empowerment, and at the same time helping us to a more resilient and future-focused economy, future-ready economy?
Thank you. I agree with Dr. Sima. Actually, we have to always think ahead in whatever actions we take. And I think when we are talking about the evolution of tourism, what is the next phase of Maldives tourism, for example, when we look at what is happening across the world and also in the region, if we really look at, we are actually sitting in the middle of the a region which is world's largest population. Maldives is, we are at the most strategic location at this time of the history. Because whether you look from the sea transport, even from air connectivity or anything, we are at the center of where East and West connects. So from our history, we know from the time of Pirad to even before that, people has been traveling through Maldives. And I think as long as the world economy shifts towards East, there will be more demand for Maldives. So now we have to look at, and also with the brand we have created, actually the Maldives brand, individually for Maldivians and also as a destination or for whatever we are going to do. This, we are talking about $1 trillion brand actually, if you really value it. So Maldives, anything you build on top of Maldives is going to be valuable. It is like if Apple is a brand, Porsche is a brand. Anything which Porsche produces or Apple produces will be valuable, right? So anything which Maldives is going to produce has to be valuable. So when we talk about even the evolution of tourism industry, for example, when we say guest houses, we have been having this discussion, I think, even from Dr. Zulfa's time when the guest house was introduced, when in 2008 or 9 or 10, right? Even during that time, we had this discussion, but are we going to call it guest houses? And I think now we have come to a realization that guest house is a much cheaper word. It doesn't resonate with the Maldives brand. So I think this is the reason now MMPRC is talking about island hotels, island boutique hotels, because even if we compare today, the basic guest houses in an island in Maldives is like a 3-star beach hotel in Phuket or Bali. So we are already there, but we need to brand it correctly, we need to focus it correctly. The other evolution which I see in the tourism industry is also an evolution in the entire region and also in the Asia Pacific as well, which is MICE tourism. Because now when you look at even a lot of you might have people from other countries which whom you know. When we ask, they say, we love to go to Maldives, but it's too expensive. You know, for average person, it's too expensive. Average lecturer in, for example, in a university in Malaysia, Maldives might be perceived expensive. But now we have rooms for everyone. We have rooms from $50 up to $5,000 a night. We know that. So now it is more affordable. But also, the other aspect of creating that is the MICE tourism. When we create events, when we create more things around MICE, that creates an opportunity for people who think they cannot afford to come to Maldives because their companies will sponsor or things like that. So we see a great, this area is going to be one of the key contributors for Maldives tourism. Like even if we look at this whole, I'm sure at least 10 people or 15 people might have flown in for this conference. So we need to create more conferences, we need to create more conference venues. We also need to create larger conference venues. Because even for example, even I'm sure this resort or Kurumba, we get sometimes queries for from big corporations to have their regional conferences and things like that for 1,000 packs, 2,000 packs, but we cannot accommodate that in Maldives at the moment. That is one of the areas which I will mention. And even with related tourism, think about we have, when talking about MICE, we have now 7 Marriott properties. Marriott is the world's largest hotel chain. And Marriott has hundreds of hotels even in this region. Imagine even if they won't have their GM's annual meeting in Maldives, even if they won't, can we have it? We cannot, because we don't have a facility in Maldives to do that, right? So this is an area we nationally also we need to think about. This other aspect is when I talk about the regional hotspot where we are standing right now on top of in terms of tourism. The biggest market is India. We can't deny it. And Indians are one of the, when you look at outbound tourism, even after COVID, Indian market is one of the most growing market compared to outbound tourism. But where the Indians are going? They are going to Bali, they are going to Phuket, they are going to Thailand, they are going to Singapore, they are going to now to places like even Macau or Taipei and all these eastern countries. But what is the main reason for them to travel? One of the reasons is, of course, for shopping, because Indian market is known for shopping. But we don't have a shopping tourism in Maldives. But we can create it as well, because Singapore 50 years back didn't have shopping tourism. Malaysia didn't have. So we can invite people who are having big shopping center investors and other people to actually invest in Maldives and drive and things like that. I think the recent announcement with this what's the hotel? No, I forgot the name, but a big hotel which is going to be built, Atlantis. For example, this will be a game changer again in Maldives. So if Atlantis comes, that will be like a new beginning of tourism era, because that will attract mass tourism into different types of tourists to Maldives. And more of those, I think, will start coming as well. And the other evolution which I really see is for nomads, for example. There's a huge market for nomads in countries like Thailand has opened up visa, for example. We hear about Indonesia, for example, or even Malaysia for that matter. And if we can create the proper environments, the shared workspaces, longer visas and things like that, there's a community who want. Because I have met some people even in local islands like Diffushi who has come for 3 months, 6 months, just work here, stay here and work. So we have a market for that as well. So, and like I mentioned, because Maldives is such a established Instagrammable brand now, everybody want to come to Maldives at least once in their lifetime. Everybody in the entire world. So I think we have to create that opportunity for people to come, and we can also create a lot of things around it. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you, Yaz. I'll go to Fatun straight away. With all the experiences you have gained, what do you think are the most valuable lessons for small countries like the Maldives, the lessons we can learn from other small countries?
Let me start answering this question by referring to the Nobel Prize this year on economics. Joel Mokyr, he highlighted that the input of his contribution to the Nobel Prize was that continuous innovation in the last few decades had led to continuous growth without the disruptions that we used to see in previous centuries. Previous centuries, like, it was more stable and then the business cycle would kick in. But over the last few decades, we have seen that gone in overall. So he tried to find out what made it, and it was continuous innovation that was integrated into the systems, and they became self-sustaining. So that was one core component of the Nobel Prize, and the other component was the contribution by Philip Argon and Peter Howitt, who contributed that creative destruction is crucial for economic growth. So I think that is the crux of the matter. Like, we are on the path to digitalization and innovation and resilience, and these things build resilience. Like, even in the energy sector, we are talking about renewable energy, and these things need resilient, innovative practices with our automites. Like, if you look at the fuel inefficiencies within our systems, we see that these leakages are because systematic failures. This, because it's not automated, it's been physically done. So if you look at countries, SIDS countries like Mauritius or Fiji, or if you look at a developing country like Malaysia, we see that they have bypassed that. They have, like Mauritius, from a mono sugar crop country, they have diversified to ICT, financial services, and other sectors, and digitalization, in innovation, and investment in human capital, and regulation strengthening play a crucial role in these countries. And also, if you look at Fiji, we see the same thing. They have diversified even the trade networks, so accessibility to the trade systems, trade networks. So what we notice is, and also if we look at Malaysia, Islamic finance is now a driver of economic growth in Malaysia. So what we see is that there is a lot of scope, but we have to be ready to embrace the things that work within our economy and let go of the things that are not working within our economy. Now look at our state-owned enterprises. The inherent inefficiency is culturally embedded, and the systematic failures that we are facing in the SOEs, and it's a lot of leakage from the fiscal space that could otherwise be spent on very productive projects for the development of the nation. So I think we need to move forward, and with DFIs and other finance resources like public-private partnerships, we need to accelerate the progress towards innovation, digitalization, and as Dr. Azima mentioned, how do we want to visualize Maldives in 20 years? And then identify what systems need to be put in place, what are the systematic integration, what is the artificial intelligence that we want to create, and circular economy-wise, where do we want to position ourselves? Now we see that Finland and Netherlands, they are at the top of circular economy because they build industries based on circular economies because they value environmental protection and reducing waste. So these are the sort of things that we can learn from countries that have successfully managed to move their economy forwards, like as I mentioned, Mauritius, Fiji, and Malaysia. They have internalized innovation. They have their regulations are strong. They have systemized and made trade easy. I think in Maldives, the National Single Window by the Asian Development Bank was one such project. And we can add many more such projects into our portfolio. So I think these are the ways in which we can move forward our country by letting go of systems that do not work, that is the creative destruction process, and embrace new technologies, new innovations, and also new sectors that, for me, I think circular economy is a very vital sector that we can promote within our economy, and embrace such sectors, and also Islamic finance, such sectors, and make our economy stronger, resilient, and also inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatung, for the examples. They really highlight what's possible for the Maldives as well. So, Niaz, from your perspective, what are the biggest challenges in building a more connected digital economy?
The biggest challenge is the mindset of the people of Maldives. So they think to go digital, everybody has to be an IT expert. But I don't think so. So every day morning when I wake up and when I open the OTT apps like Viber, I get a lot of good morning messages mostly from very elderly people. And also one more example is that, hope I will not get in trouble. At home, my wife says that I am not an IT person, I don't know what's happening on the phone and those kind of apps. But she is a pro on Temu to order anything. If I said, I need this kind of a thing, said, okay, no problem, I'll get it next week. I'll order it from Temu. So this is how we are thinking on our mindset of digital. So digital is not IT. Digital is the way you use, how your life is getting easier with processes, with applications, with this kind of internet access. Government has implemented EFAS. Most of the government offices are there on the EFAS. But still, people, they don't use it. They still go to the offices. They still go to the council offices to get services. Why? No, they say, I'm not an IT person, I don't know how to use internet. But they can use Viber. They can use Temu. But they are not an IT person. So I think this is the mindset that is required. A lot of education is required, especially on the finance side. Now, all the banks has an app. The national QR code is coming. So the awareness, inclusiveness of this elderly population is required to make sure that the whole country is digital. Digital as I said before, digital is not IT, digital is the way of work. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nias. I cannot agree more. We need to change our mindset for creating a better future. From here, let's open the questions to the floor. Yeah, yeah, thank you. Mike, Shaolan.
I think the first point to think of when you talk about diversification of the economy is to think about the relative advantages of the country. What relative advantages do you have? And once we settle our minds on this, what are the relative advantages of Maldives? Then we can talk about the diversification. For instance, the seafood industries and seafood supplements industries is gaining ground the world over. How much Maldives has advantage in this. I mean, Iyaz was talking about diversification within the tourism industry. Yet, he did not mention what is now becoming more common in the world, in several places in the world, even in Turkey, the most secularist Muslim country. We have a promotion now of what is called the Islamic tourism. Like having places in the sea where women can swim alone without being visible by men, and where you have things that you don't need to see always women half naked if you want to swim in the sea as a man. Like what is here. I went yesterday to see the sunset, and God, all over around me were half naked, almost naked really, women, which I am not that much pleased with. So the Islamic tourism industry is a version that you could have, especially that you are very near to areas where, and Maldives itself is also a Muslim 100% you say country, but you have around you also many similar Muslim countries who like this Islamic tourism, especially with the sea privileges that you have. So I think talking about the relative advantages is very important. And part of it, again, in the IT, when we talk about IT, how much Maldives can have a relative advantage in promoting IT services and now AI services also to the rest of the world. I think these issues that need to be really discussed, and the starting point is the relative advantages that you can use. Thank you.
Yeah, Ijaz, would you like to add something on
Thank you, sir.
Islamic tourism?
I think I didn't specifically mention about Islamic tourism, but if you know very well, all our island resorts are 100% Sharia compliant, I would say. Because we don't sell alcohol, pork, or even bathing in swimsuits are not allowed in inhabited islands. So most of some islands, they have a separate area for tourists who want to do that, which is enclosed. So I know in the resorts, it's more Western tourism, more Western culture, because that is where we started. So we already have Islamic tourism. I think the most important thing is, like he mentioned,
Most Muslim tourists today won't like to go to the backward areas.
yes.
You tell me about, you have some backward areas that are
No.
there.
I mean, they can.
They like to go to the most progressive area, but yet
Yes, Islamic, yeah. I think this is where I think our marketing efforts and our branding also need to focus more on to those markets to communicate properly, because what we have. And also creating special products. For example, recently the government also has announced a Islamic tourism zone. So under our I think some islands are even resorts are going to be dedicated for Islamic tourism per se. But currently also we have, I think we need to emphasize more and brand to that that market, how we can make it more Islamic or more appeal. On the other point, I really agree with you. There are things around even tourism industry to even serve our tourism industry. Now, even if you look at food, for example, seafood, this is an area we can really export, because we are targeting to bring 2.5 billion tourists next year, a million tourists next year, together with the 500,000 local population, including expats, who are living here. We need food, right? But at the moment, 99.9% of all the seafood except for tuna is imported. Even recently, a couple of months back, in a supermarket in Hulumale, I myself bought reef fish which is imported from Dubai, which is for the first time in my life I have seen that. So that is really alarming, because we are exporting reef fish, like different kinds of reef fish. Even even things like, for example, sea cucumber, which is such a high delicacy in Eastern cultures and very highly worth product. You can't even find a sea cucumber dish in a resort yet. So that means we don't have produce enough to even serve our local community and local tourists. We only export those. So there's huge potential in those areas, relative advantages. Yes, thank you.
Yep, thank you. We have one more question because lunch is waiting for us. So, anybody? Yeah, Zulfa.
I'm so sorry, I wouldn't take long, just a 30-second intervention, okay? I just would like to mention the issue of urbanization. Urbanization was not very well talked about in the panel. So I think in Maldives, the situation about urbanization and people coming on to Hulumale and Hulumale is now at a very crucial and critical stage, whereby everybody's mindset is about no, we should be diverting this population elsewhere. But I think the proper mindset is now to get comfortable with the notion that we are urbanized. I think that's the global trend now going. Urbanization is something that we have to deal with. So I just will stop here now. We can probably talk during lunch about urbanization and Hulumale and how Maldives population is now coming on to nearby to the greater Male area, and how that could be mobilized into greater economic productivity and diversification, more industries, more diversification for tourism-related products, more services, more manufacturing or whatever related. My point is we really need to get comfortable with urbanization per se. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Zulfa. I thought I saw one more hand from the back.
Yeah, here, it's Sama.
Yeah.
So my question is on when we talk about diversification on that front, how do you see the role of financial sector in the role of diversification of the Maldives, and how important is fiscal discipline in order to achieve our long-term goals in terms of rethinking economic growth? Thank you.
Would you like to direct to any of the
to
panelists?
former Governor Azima.
To former Governor. Okay. As Dr. Azima.
Thank you very much for that question. I think at the heart of diversification lies a well-established financial sector. And right now, we are at a point where we can easily create a lot of depth in the financial sector through the use of digital abilities or capabilities. So when we are talking about diversification, as
Yes.
Iyaz mentioned, Niaz mentioned, Iyaz and Niaz are here, so it's getting closer to lunchtime as well. So as Niaz mentioned, that it shows the importance of digitalization when we are discussing economic resilience or diversification. So for the financial sector, it has always been very slow in the development because we are inherently risk averse, but we need to be more risk takers within a set of boundaries, and that's where what Fatun also mentioned, creative destruction and innovation can matter. We can create sandboxes where we can test and experiment new financial products. So it is not going to come automatically. It lies with us how creative we are in the knowledge that we produce, and how creative we are in turning that knowledge to really important and innovative tools in the financial sector. So in terms of the role that financial sector can play for diversification, that's really important. And the fact that tourism sector has grown so much is because of the financial sector. Financial sector overwhelmingly is dominated by the tourism sector. If we can go towards supporting other industries by the financial sector in the same respect, then we can see that diversification happen. In terms of fiscal discipline, that's what we need, but we need to really see what the fiscal discipline means. We need to see what the context is in our country again, what is the thresholds that we set ourselves to be in terms of budget, in terms of fiscal indicators. One important thing that I would highlight in terms of fiscal discipline is that it is not only the government who can bring fiscal discipline. It is us, the people of the country, who can bring fiscal discipline, because we have now created a very entitled society in this country. We want everything that is happening, everything to be provided for us, everything to be given to us now. So if we are creating that kind of entitlement in our population, fiscal discipline is not going to be there. As you would remember, I mentioned politicians run on election cycles. That's the nature of politics. But we can make them accountable by also bringing that kind of discipline to us. I'll just stop with one very quick example. In last few months, in January, February, in New York, prices of eggs and the supply of eggs were quite high. We were buying a carton of eggs for $5, but then it went up to $12. And in the supermarket that we go to, like many other supermarkets in New York, we were given one carton for each shopper. And I was telling me and my husband, we were talking, if this happens in the Maldives, there would be an overthrow of government now, all because of eggs. But people find ways to accommodate that change in prices and that availability of supply. It's not, they didn't feel that they are entitled to get those eggs, 3 or 4 cartons of eggs when they shop. So we need to change our mindset. There has been a lot of talk about mindset. We need to change our mindset about fiscal discipline as well. So it starts with the government, but it also is with the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Azima. So from what you mentioned, financial stability is very important, plus fiscal discipline as well for the Maldives. I think this brings us close to the close of today's insightful discussion. First, let me extend my heartfelt thanks to our distinguished panelists for sharing your expertise and perspectives. And thank you to all of you for being part of this important conversation. What we've heard today is clear. Economic diversification is a shared journey that demands vision and collaboration across sectors. From your discussions, we found out that our nation holds tremendous potential. So to unlock, we must invest in our people, foster innovation and entrepreneurship, and strengthen institutional and policy frameworks as well. So let's take today's ideas forward and turn them into action. Thank you, and let's keep working together to chart the next chapter of growth for the Maldives. So please join me once again in thanking our panelists, Dr. Azim Adam, Ms. Fatmat Saeed, Mr. Hussein Niaz, and Yaz Wahid. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you to our panelists for sharing your expertise and illuminating paths for diversified growth in the Maldives. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we'll now break for lunch. Please return at 2 p.m. for our afternoon session, on which will be dedicated to the theme on Islamic economics. Thank you very much.